Why, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Ah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're at the Horror Bodega looking for Johnny Abrahams.
Oh my God!
Ah! I just came from the seventh portal of hell, photo booth, and I'm so happy to be here.
Buddy.
We love you.
How are you,
All
Brett?
right, man. It's good
Now,
seeing you.
How are
I
you,
just have to
Phyllis?
say this. I love you. I love this man. I seriously, like, I do want to cry right now. I think you are the most beautiful human being.
Oh, that's so nice.
So kind. This person is just exactly what you see, the nicest. And I love you.
Rotten on the inside. One of my best friends, he has bought the same kind of dog from the same breeder for like over 20 years. Okay? And they always name the dogs streets in New York City.
He's one Charlton.
It's like they have Bleecker,
That's
they have
so
Prince, they have Crosby, and
These are all the New York
they're
streets.
getting a new one, and they were like, "What do you think we should name it?" I was like, "Charlton, Hester,
Hester.
Hester."
You're really bringing me back. Yes.
Where did Gotti and all them hang out on? What street was that?
Mulberry?
Spark Steakhouse? I mean,
Mulberry.
I mean Mulberry, yeah, Little Italy, the Ravenite social club.
Oh, that's right. Look at you.
Oh yeah, I used to buy
Raven.
fireworks there.
Oh, you used to go. But
I used to buy fireworks there.
So
when I was in like
technically
junior high school,
you were giving John Gotti money.
Yep. I legit, me and my best friend, you would walk by and they'd be like, "Hey, come, you want fireworks?" Be like, "Yeah." Take you in and go.
Save it. That's
Okay.
a great
Oh, wait,
story.
I'm
recording, so you're good.
We're rolling.
Anyway,
Killing time experience.
hey, Felissa Rose,
Jump right in.
the big swag, producer Jason, and who is our special guest today?
Just somebody that I don't even remember the first time I met you a few years back, but when you meet John Abrahams, who is,
That's me.
I would say, one of the kindest, most talented
That's very sweet.
people I've ever met. I feel like you are just a very genuine human being.
Thank you.
And I really care about you.
And I feel the same about you.
Thank you.
And Brett, sort of, but, like definitely you.
We're on the fence.
Yeah.
We're on the fence.
We're still figuring it out. If you're
We
just
are.
joining us, we're trying to figure this dynamic out. But
Yeah.
this person I know and love very well for
Well, you guys-
quite some time now.
You guys got a New York connection.
That's
We
what,
do.
And you know
Yeah.
what? That's what I think. That's where the genuineness comes from.
That's correct. Yes.
Because
that's always
you're
a bond.
from originally downtown Manhattan.
Yeah.
So am I. And
Jason too, right?
Well, I'm from
Jason,
Jersey.
he's
I'm from
Jersey.
Yeah,
South,
it's not
I'm
quite.
South Jersey.
But
so I
this
wasn't
is our
sixth
amazing
borough, dude. Sixth borough.
our amazing producer Jason, who loves your work. Your work is phenomenal.
Oh, thank you.
We're all a fan.
Look what he bought. He just
Which
weird.
is so funny. So that was by accident. I purchased that like 4 weeks ago because I'm making a movie that's in that world. And when Felissa said like, "Oh, John's in Kids," I was like, "Oh, fuck, he is." Like I didn't put two and two together, but I'm like, he is. Oh yeah, so
movie.
it's just the irony, you know.
Totally.
So it was nice.
First
But-
movie ever.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I have so many questions on that because
Okay.
you already mentioned it. You already said so many things. Right now, we'll cut to the horror bodega.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start here. I want to buy. Does everybody like gum?
Oh, sure.
Okay, because did
So
you?
I don't know if you've ever been here to the Horror.
I've never been here,
Bodega, but
Is
great place.
my kind of place. I'm going to get in a lot of trouble here,
Yes.
I think. Yeah, and I semi-local, so I'm going to be coming here a lot, I think.
I know. Did you ever go to the Mystic Museum?
I'm about to today for the first time, and I'm very excited.
Yeah, we're
Same owners.
yes.
Shout out.
Eric
Mystic
Wessel.
Museum.
Eric Wessel, we love you.
The Bodega in Burbank. Where are you? What's going on?
Do you like gum?
Yeah. Thank you.
Did you like? You grew up on the East Coast. So did you ever go to like candy stores? Like I loved candy
Always.
stores.
And,
Bodegas,
and
right?
bodegas all the
Bodegas,
time.
yeah.
Bodegas all the time.
That's really more an East Coast thing, a bodega. Eric, are you from the East Coast?
My partner actually spent like most of her adult life in New York.
Got it. Okay, so that makes sense.
She's also Filipino, and so that's part of like over in the Philippines that the local small convenience store was a bodega.
Yep, that's right.
I'm just gonna hang out here.
Yeah.
So, like, when you were putting the store together, were you like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna put a big screen so we could do some screenings and hang out.
Yes, because I already had that giant TV, and then I already had the theater seats, and horror fans, why not? Why wouldn't I, as a horror fan, why wouldn't I want to watch a horror movie on a giant screen?
So great.
The tricky part was figuring out how to get the image in the screen, but you know, I figured it out.
So what's your favorite, John Abraham's favorite film?
You're in
House of
Kids?
Wax.
Hi. That was my first movie ever.
Old school skateboarder, so I got in trouble sneaking in the theater seeing that movie.
There you go. It was passed around every small town like a porno. There was like one VHS copy, and people tell me all the time, like, it got passed around my high school, and, you know, because it didn't play in a lot of places. It was like banned
It was independent.
from theaters because it was NC-17, so.
That's why I got kicked out, because we snuck in. And then we caused a ruckus and threw our skateboards. But I guess it's true to the movie, I guess.
Yep.
But it was so beloved. Like, it was, you know, just true to life. And when you watch the film, it resonated. I know, being a New Yorker, being a kid then, it was really a fantastic film.
Yeah.
I feel uneasy when I watch it. I'm like, oh my gosh, you know. But there was a lot of controversy about the movie, right?
A lot of
There was a lot of people.
controversy, a
Don't
lot
let
of
your kids come see
sensation."
this movie.
Yes,
Or
absolutely.
don't let your kids become skateboarders.
It was NC-17, which there weren't many of, and there's none anymore, I don't think. And, you know, that kept it from like a lot of places in rural parts of America from being shown in theaters. They wouldn't show
First movie. How old were you?
it. 16.
Do you remember like feeling like, whoa, this movie's
No,
crazy?
not at all. I was like, this is some weird art thing, and like none of us thought it would be anything. And then it was on the cover of Newsweek, and it was on the cover of
Village Voice.
all these and New York Magazine, and on the news and all that stuff. And so it was shocking for us, because I'm like, well, this is just a bunch of people I know from the park. And now
Is that how you got involved? Like, you met them through the park?
that's how we got involved. Larry and Harmony just spent like the whole spring walking around downtown Manhattan and like going up to every kid in the park and being like, hey, we're making a movie, like, would you want to come audition for it? And we were like, okay, I guess. And then me and my best friend they had group auditions. So they would like put us all in a room together, and we would take turns like rotating different characters in a scene. And my best friend got a bigger part in the movie than I did, but his mom wouldn't let him do it.
Did you, at that point, have any inclination about acting? Or you were just, I'm a skateboarder, I'm 16.
I wasn't a skateboarder. I worked in nightclubs in New York City. That's what New York City was like back then. And everybody, if you're from downtown Manhattan, you never went above 14th Street. So everybody that was young sort of hung out and congregated in Washington Square Park. And you had like all different kinds of cliques hanging out there. But there were certain people like my friend Harold Hunter, who was like a great diplomat for the cliques. He was like the guy who was like, oh, this is my friend Johnny, he works at the club, and this is, my punk friend Larry, and this is blah, blah, blah. And, he sort of like introduced us all and made sure that we all knew each other. So, and so, you had a whole bunch of different kinds of kids hanging out together all the time. And they just threw us all in a room and figured it out.
You mentioned Harold Hunter, Justin Pierce, Rosario Dawson. I mean, there was just so many.
Chloe Sevigny.
Leo
Yeah.
Fitzpatrick.
Yeah. So my question is like, because Harold Hunter, like I come from the skateboard world.
Sure.
So Harold Hunter, everybody was super authentic in that movie, but like Harold Hunter's Harold Hunter in that movie.
Yeah, it was written for him. Like, his name is Harold in the script.
Yeah. What was it like to work with a 16-year-old Harmony Korine? Was he there a lot on set?
Well, I'm going to put 16 in quotation marks because,
Okay.
I think we all know now that he was actually like 21
Right.
and
Okay.
said that he had written it when he was like 16, and not that there's a huge difference, but there's a difference between 21 and 19. Anyway, that's Harmony's sense of humor and kind of his vibe. It was awesome. And, not to take anything away from Larry Clark, because that's a special kind of talent, which I believe is turning the camera on the right things at the right time in the right way. I think that's Larry's talent, right? Harmony is talented in another way. And I would say 50% of the, if not more, the amazingness of Kids is owed to Harmony, and they were very much a couple when we made the film. Like, they were doing it together. They were co-collaborators for sure. It wasn't like, oftentimes the writer's not there, right? The writer's like some mystery figure. You just see their name on the script,
There was a new documentary that came out not too long ago. I forget what it's called, but it kind of dives more into everybody's different point of views of working on that movie.
Definitely puts forward some narratives that I don't know the majority of us.
Yeah, we don't have to get into
it.
We don't have to get into it.
But it's there. You can find out for yourself.
We've already established your first movie at 16 years old.
Yes.
Now that you had a taste for that, I mean, we've talked about it, a lot of controversy, but it was plastered everywhere. You had a little taste for that at 16. Did you go head deep into some acting classes and getting an agent?
So what happened was, did that movie. Like I said, none of us were actors, right? That was the rule. And I was going into a career of visual arts. That's what I wanted to do. I spent all my time in the art building at my high school,
in Brooklyn.
In Brooklyn. St. Anne's. Shout out St. Anne's High School. We didn't know the movie was going to be anything. And, we just thought it was like a cool art project to be involved with, or at least I did. I was in a film class in high school and I was like, oh, well, this is cool. And then the movie showed at Sundance. It was the midnight screening at Sundance that year. And people went nuts and lost their minds over it. And it was, this hot, buzzy thing. And an agent saw me in it and tracked down my phone number and called my mom at work and was like, hey, I just saw this movie Kids and your son is in it and I think he could have a big career. And she was like, well, I don't, you'd have to ask him yourself. I don't control him and he's his own man. So she gave him my home number and I was home cutting school or something and the phone rang and I was like, hello, and it was, hi, I'm so-and-so. I'm from this agency in Los Angeles. And, I just saw Kids and I think you could have a big career. And I was like, yeah, no, thanks. Bye. And I hung up the phone.
Wow.
Not the answer I thought.
That was the M. Night Shyamalan twist to that.
I was like, yeah, no, because I was, I was very conscious of if I'm going to do this, I'm only going to work with Quentin Tarantino and I'm only going to work with, Martin Scorsese and whatever. I don't want to be sold in the Hollywood market as Jonathan Taylor Thomas. No disrespect to Jonathan Taylor Thomas, but I didn't want to be that, and I felt oh, that's what this Hollywood system's going to try to do with me. So I hung up and then he called back right away and he was like, listen, I'm not a creep. I'm from this reputable agency and we rep Lawrence Fishburne and a couple other names that I was like, oh, okay, maybe,
wow.
I like Lawrence Fishburne.
You were like, tell me more.
Yeah. And he was like, I'm coming to New York. Let's meet in a crowded hotel lobby and maybe I can talk to you about trying this as a career.
Not his hotel room.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So at this point I was halfway through my senior year of high school and I was getting ready to try to go to college and, art school and whatever. And I met with him and he was like, listen, you should give this a shot. And I was interested in film my whole life. I wanted to work on movies, just not in front of the camera. And so I kind of was like, well, this might be my ticket to movie sets, right? I shouldn't, I should go through this door if it's opening. So I did. And one of the first things he sent me out on was a movie called Dead Man Walking. And I got it. And Dead Man Walking is a great film.
Great film.
A wonderful movie.
Wonderful.
Directed by Tim Robbins, Susan Sarandon, Sean Penn. any number of amazing actors in it. Arlie Ermy. I mean, it's just an amazing cast of character actors. And I always loved character actors, and I always loved horror movies, and I always loved, I used to go to conventions when I was a kid because I wanted to do makeup effects. That's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Want to be Tom Savini?
I did. And my dad used to take me to like horror conventions in New York City, like the Fangoria conventions when I was like 11 and 12. And I would follow Tom Savini around. And he was always super nice to me. And like, yeah, here's my card. And like, you should come do my school and all this stuff. And, I was like, Dad, can I? And my dad was like, you're 11. Like, I'm not sending you to Pittsburgh, But like, yeah, full on was super sweet. And, it's, a couple years ago, I'm doing a convention and Tom's next to me at the table. And it's just like,
wow,
very cyclical thing. But I did Dead Man Walking. I got that, one of the first auditions and I booked it and I play Sean Penn's brother in it. So does Jack Black, young Jack Black. And, I got on that set and I'm around all those people plus Roger Deakins, I was a big Coen Brothers fan. So I was like aware of how crazy it was to be working with Roger Deakins and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. Like I should take this seriously. So then I
and at
ended
this
up
time
not
you were
going-
how old? You were
I
like
was 17
18?
at this time.
Still living in New York.
Still living in New York. I went and shot Dead Man Walking during my spring break of senior year of high school. And then I decided like, okay, I'm going to take this seriously. Like this is my ticket to be on sets one way or another. So that's kind of how I viewed it. And I didn't go to college and I just started taking acting classes. And all
So
that
ladies
stuff.
and gentlemen, this movie kept this man out of college.
Kept me from getting my Bachelor in Arts degree.
No, because you're
I
a
know.
movie
That's great.
star.
That's-
And I'm grateful for it.
It was meant to be. I
Sure.
was watching a piece last night on kids, and they were saying how Rosario Dawson was on her stoop.
Mm-hmm.
She was in New York, sitting on her stoop, and Harmony saw her.
Yep.
Had that moment never happened, that career. So
You wouldn't have Ashoka. You wouldn't have
right,
a
exactly.
Jedi warrior.
How did you feel when you were on that set? Was it like, because you go from kids and now you're on this very kind of conventional set, let's say, right?
Yeah, like big, studio,
Yes.
right? Like I think, it's funny because back then, I think the budget for kids was like $3 million.
Oh, wow.
Which back then was the
Still a lot
average
of money.
budget
Yeah.
for an indie film.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was, that was a low budget indie film budget. And now it's a tenth of that. Right now it's like 300,000.
Yes.
Which is crazy.
Hey, how are you getting those budgets?
But right.
What's going on here?
And there was makeup trailer and there was, a
Sure.
crew on kids, but then Dead Man Walking, it's like, we're in Louisiana and
What
there's
was that
trailers
budget?
and there's this.
Was that
and
like 20 million?
It actually, I think it was 10,
Okay,
which,
it looks-
nowadays would be over 20, right? But
Honora,
like,
that one Best Picture is 6 million.
6 million, yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's funny because I loved movies, but like I kind of knew Sean Penn more as Madonna's ex-husband. You know what I mean? Like I knew him as I love this guy's acting and I love it, but like it also was,
Sure.
Fighting the paparazzi.
simpatico with he's Madonna's
biggest pop
ex-husband.
Mr. Madonna, yes.
Yeah, like Mr. Madonna. No offense to Sean. It definitely was the next door and the bigger door into what has become a 30 plus year career,
What did your parents say about the movie, about kids? Like when you got it or like...
My dad was super psyched. Larry Clark is from my neighborhood. I grew up in Tribeca in New York. And like, so, you knew about him in the art world already. His reputation preceded himself. But my mom was like a little more careful. She was like, there's a scene where I'm like in my underwear in a pool. And she was like, you have to wear 2 pairs of underpants.
I mean, that is good mom.
She was like, and Larry came to like talk to all the parents before they started shooting. And I remember my mom like super embarrassed me and was like,
That's mom.
my kid's wearing 2 pairs of underpants and like, I don't want to hear anything about it. And,
Don't shrivel
and
up
I'm like, Mom, Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
I understand.
But that's the thing is like none of us were thinking we would have a career in Hollywood. None of us. The rule for making the movie was they didn't want anybody who had a previous acting experience. So they didn't want any child actors or anything. And you know, I would say most of us had no idea it would become the sensation that it was.
I mean, it worked.
Whatsoever.
The whole formula obviously worked.
It did, and I don't think you could ever replicate it. You know,
No.
they've tried.
It would be a documentary then if someone did that.
It would,
be a film. It
and
would
yeah,
be
you know, it's
And
just
it's harmony,
truly.
like, and Larry Clark. It's also the two people in charge were such brilliant artists.
Definitely.
You can't replicate that.
Absolutely, and you can't. I mean, different times. Everybody has cell phones now. That movie would be over and done in 1 second because they would just make a phone call.
Being a skateboard fan and a horror fan, this is really awesome.
You've gotten to work with some big actors. Meet the Parents. De Niro. That doesn't happen for everybody.
Bob, son
Bob,
of
sorry,
Is
Bob.
that what
Yes.
you're
It's
going
a
to
club.
ask, Jason?
I was gonna go right before Meet the Parents.
Oh, go ahead.
So
Oh,
you're
go
in one
for
of
it.
my favorite movies, and it's like such a small role, but so crucial and fun. The Faculty,
Thank you very much.
which you're with a Phoenix, one of their siblings.
Who's
What
still
was
my best friend.
Was
to
it
this
Summer?
day. Yep,
Summer Phoenix.
On that movie.
So my big question is, all right. So one, you worked with Robert Rodriguez, you worked with Robert Patrick, you work. Well, I don't know if
I don't
even have scenes
work with
him.
Robert Patrick, but everybody was there.
Yeah.
And I had just done a movie with Sean Hattasy,
Nice,
who's
yeah.
I think one of the greatest actors
He's great, yeah.
out there.
Yeah.
So, you know, I knew him, and here's a little Faculty stuff. So I went into audition for Robert Rodriguez for Elijah Wood's part. And I was like, there's no way they're going to hire me for this part, but I really want to work with Robert Rodriguez, you know, because I'm a movie guy and I'm a horror guy. And I'm like, I really want to be in this movie. So I go in to read for him, and I'm like, I do the thing for Elijah Wood's part. And I'm like, listen, you're never going to hire me for this part. I'm like, I'm well aware. It's just not, it's not going to happen. And I was like,
Can I
but
ask you why?
I just was aware of like the realities of the situation, and like he was already
Where he
you know, I
at?
was like, I'm not a name and they're not going to hire me. Like, I'm not known yet. And
Interesting
so,
that you had that
Yeah,
like
I
those
mean,
feelings.
You took a chance and told
always-
him. You took a chance. while you
yeah,
were
I
there.
was like, well, I don't care.
What do you care? Yeah.
Closed mouth don't get fed, right?
That's right. Ooh.
And so I was like, you're never going to hire me for this part. We all know it. And I was like, but I really like the movie and I really want to work with you. And I really like the fuck you boy. Could I play the fuck you boy? And he was like, that's like a nothing part. And he was looking at me like, you want to like you want to be an extra in the movie basically? And I was like, yes, I do. And he was like, you're hired. And that was it. And so
That's
like,
amazing.
you know, the next thing I knew, I was in Austin, Texas, filming the movie.
I lived right down the street from that high
They
school.
were
when I
filming
lived in
Varsity.
Austin.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's crazy. From
well,
deaf
it was a herring and peer impaired
yep,
school. Yeah,
exactly.
So I lived right down the street from there when I lived in Texas a
Yep.
couple years ago.
And so they were filming Varsity Blues at the same time, right down the block in Austin. So like, you know, you had a lot of like the young actors of the day in this one place, and it was kind of fun. Like you had Amy Smart and Scott Kahn and you know Paul Walker and James Vanderbeek and then all of us from the faculty, and you know
That's a fun party right there.
Yeah, right. I mean,
know.
that's a party.
Was it a party?
It was. I mean, I kind of just remember me and Summer and Clea Duvall just like hanging out in our hotel room, like eating pizza.
Hell yeah.
You know, when we weren't working, but.
So my last question then on the faculty situation, because I know that Tommy Hilfiger, this is the only reason why I wanted Tommy Hilfiger clothing in 6th grade, was because the entire movie was wardrobed by Tommy Hilfiger. So
Yep.
did you rock Tommy Hilfiger?
In the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Fuck
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
That's all I wanted to know. Okay,
Totally.
done. I'm
And
out.
they did a whole campaign with like some of the people from the movie and then other people, of which like Kadada Jones and Rashida Jones
Oh, yeah,
were
yeah.
in this campaign, and Aaliyah and Mark Ronson, young
wow.
Mark Ronson.
young Mark
Like, yeah, you can
Really
find
nice.
it, like the Tommy Hilfiger.
I'll have to drop it in right
sort
now.
of high school collection.
I love that you started off in kids and we took you here to this amazing, beautiful horror bodega because we're gonna have some candy.
I'm very excited.
I'm excited. I want everybody to pick out like a little snack treat.
There's so much
that
to choose
you-
from.
yeah.
I know.
You can sit down
Everybody
at the
get
bar.
like Do you remember these?
As you can see, everything's either horror, Halloween, or sci-fi themed. And if you don't know, like a Twinkie, you just gotta make the connection. Obviously, this would be Ghostbusters, or you could even do Zombieland as the connection.
Sick.
So
Sick.
Take a look around, try something.
I'm just looking at things.
Ooh,
Megalodon.
maybe some body parts.
Oh yeah, body parts. I mean, this I remember. I think from being a kid, I always loved. I think there was like gum or something that I used to get. It was like little square yellow. I guess it was supposed to be Power Pellets.
Oh, look, googly eyes. Do you
Love
and these
googly
you
eyes.
eat them?
Yeah, it's gummy.
That's right. Okay, I'm gonna take a googly eye.
Take a googly eye?
Yeah, I want to eat a
gonna take
googly
one.
eye.
Oh, we got a little.
This place is awesome. I like that you've got all these snacks and then acne patches. Very good. If you've ever spent time in Louisiana, you know Zaps are the bomb. And
Really? Let's get a
I
bag.
love them. And Voodoo Heat are my favorite.
Yes, that's my favorite.
They are the great.
Wait, then I want a
greatest.
bag too.
Get a bag.
Okay, let's get a bag.
Speaking of Terrifier, we've got this Terrifier candy
Who
bucket
signed that? Who
right
signed
here, signed
Daniel Robes.
by Daniel
gosh, so
Roebuck
now you have to have
himself.
Will you sign it?
Yeah,
He's been a long time
definitely.
customer and supporter of the shop, and
We love him.
Let's see what's inside
pretty sure he lives in
here.
the neighborhood. He stopped by every once in a while. I kind of developed a small friendship with him, and he was here just the other day, and it was awesome.
Let's see what's inside here. Ooh,
Ooh,
black
a little
ice,
blow pop.
blackberry blow pop.
I don't know if I would trust candy from Terrifier bucket.
Honestly,
All right, I
this
have
is
to
one of the
try
coolest things they have here at the Horror Bodega. You just get a grab bag, and then you don't have to think. You can just enjoy your
that.
scary candy.
Mike, did you hire him to do ads
We're
here?
gonna do like this next
I
week.
mean, you are hired. I mean, now.
All we do is eat.
It's too late.
I don't know if I got the
Oh,
budget.
I used to
Put it in a
love
box.
these.
These are
When I was a
really good.
Are
kid.
those the wax mouth?
You know,
Yes.
the funny thing is, those are selling so great now because of Nosferatu.
Yeah, oh,
his
I bet.
mustache.
That one specifically.
Yeah.
What do you think, Felissa? Delicious? Yeah, they're great.
What do we think? Are you getting zapped?
I'm so good.
They become addicting.
Let's get into Bob De Niro.
Bob De Niro.
Comedy.
My movie
Meet the
dad.
Parents. Yes.
Yes. My movie dad.
Yeah.
You know, my movie dad.
People, I don't think, give Bob De Niro and some of these guys credit for their comedy chops.
Sick comedy
Sick
chops.
comedy chops.
Yeah.
But here you are. You know, you're working with Meet the Parents.
Yeah.
Your character in Meet the
So good.
Parents. Meet the Parents.
Parents.
I don't know where I'm at. Meet
the Parents.
Your role in the Meet the Parents film is so freaking like, are you taking classes during this time? What's happening? Because you're so good. Is it just a natural gift?
Well, yes, I think
Yeah,
so.
you're
I mean, I
naturally
think I
doing
just,
it.
whatever, had some sort of natural abilities,
did.
right? And that's sort of something that I've tried to hold on to my whole career is, not lose that and become programmed. Which isn't to say that I didn't take classes. I was heavy into improv. I loved improv class.
Yeah.
And it sort of awoken me to the spirituality of acting, if you will.
I love that.
I before that I was like any other high schooler, like, oh, Shakespeare, and I don't really connect. And then I started doing like an improv class after school, and that really changed everything for me.
I feel the most gifted and talented actors are so connected emotionally. They allow and let themselves breathe, and
Yeah.
it comes.
It's just transcendent for me in a way that I don't think the rest of it was yet for me, or, had been growing up. So, so a little comedy chops, right? A little
Yeah, a little.
experience in like comedy class, or learning how to play the fool is the best way I
Sure.
would say it. And then, I had taken a method class with this woman. She was Bradley Cooper's teacher, actually, as well. And did that for a while, and then was just acting out in New York. And, I don't know how it came about, but
but you have a good story.
know.
You auditioned for Meet the Parents, and then you really had to go out with Robert De Niro.
Yes. So I should just say I grew up in Tribeca. I grew up across the street from Robert De Niro. Literally could see in his window from my roof.
And he was looking in the window.
And, you know, yes, definitely saw Harvey Keitel cooking and doing dishes in the kitchen. Not to be creepy or anything. And because Keitel lived the floor below. And so I always knew about Bob as this like presence in my neighborhood that I would see sometimes at the bodega or whatever. And, you know, I obviously had seen him in movies growing up and, you know, and all that stuff. So I knew about him, but Bob is the final boss when you're going to do a movie that he's producing or in. He's you got to go for everybody else and then gets the final say. So they said, you know, everybody else signed off on you. You got to go meet Bob. So, okay, cool. Where? And they said, at this restaurant called Bubby's. Do you know of it? And Bubby's is on the opposite corner from where I grew up, just down the block from where Bob used to live. And I used to work there. I worked there when I was in high school. I was like in the prep kitchen and I was the bus boy and the delivery boy and all that stuff. So I was like, oh yeah, I know Bubby's. So they said, yeah, go meet him there. So I went and I'm waiting for Bob to show up. And obviously you're like, oh, I hope this goes well. And, you know, and it's any actor's dream.
Sure.
I would say.
I'd say
regardless of how old or, you know, young you are, you know, I was aware that I'm like,
you're meeting
having a meeting with a heavyweight. And he came in and he was very nervous. And it was weird because I was like, I ended up sort of consoling him, which was good because it took the pressure off. But, you know, he was like, oh, where'd you grow up? And I was like, right there. And he couldn't believe that. And he was sort of looking at me like, what have you seen? What do you know about me? You know?
What dirt do you have on me?
Yeah. And we ended up going for a walk around the neighborhood. I gave him shit about ruining the neighborhood and us having to move, which I still stand by. And I got on the subway to go home. And when I got off the subway, I walked in and they were like, they had called my mom's house and they were like, yeah, good to go. And that was,
wow.
And I was,
wild.
you know, I was hovering above the ground.
Sure.
You know,
I'm like,
for sure.
That moment to get that call, to get that moment of Robert De Niro, you
signed off, yeah.
starring alongside.
Yeah.
Did it take time to process that? Because it's a big thing. We all know as actors, like, you hope for a part, maybe in a commercial, maybe in a movie, whatever.
Yeah.
But then you're like co-starring, scenes. You're the family. Ben Stiller.
Yeah.
Huge blockbuster movie.
Blythe Danner, you know.
Feelings.
yeah.
What
James
were your
Reborn.
feelings?
The cat.
That cat.
You know.
Terry Polo.
It goes on and on and on. Like all these kind of heavyweights in their own right were there.
Do you
And
take
it
a
was like,
step back
whoa.
and think about it?
Listen, I was young, so
Right.
there was part of me that was like cocky, and my way of like dealing with the like what could be the overwhelmingness of it was to just be cocky and sort of be like, yeah, like whatever. And I would like try to play tricks on Bob or Owen or Ben all the time. And like, you know, sort of, and I think that's why they hired me because it works for the character. Like,
Yeah.
he's just a cocky.
That's what I was just about to say. It's just a snarky little shit.
Yeah. So, yes, but it didn't really hit me until I was in the middle of shooting a scene with Bob in the tuxedo shop.
Yeah.
And he's accusing me of having a marijuana smoking apparatus. And I forgot that I was who I was. And I literally, like, he was so good and looking me right in the eyes. And I just thought I was, oh, I'm his son and I'm about to be like grounded for the rest of my life. Like that's how good he was, you know? And then,
wow.
And then, and they use that take in the movie. If you watch it, like you can see, I kind of freeze up for a second. And I'm like, it's not mine. You know what I mean? Like it's so real. And so then right after that, I was like, oh my God, like now I understand like why, you know, working with these people is so amazing and because I forgot who I was.
Come to that horror bodega and sit down and enjoy all of these amazing treats and candies and just Do you usually have a movie playing?
Actually, if you press the red buttons, things happen. So it's part interactive.
All right, are we ready?
Yep.
I'm gonna press the button. Oh. Awesome.
I want to live here.
It's trying to create a like immersive shopping experience. You know, kind of like what we do at the museum, where you have the museum back part. But then we wanted to make sure that you, instead of going into the museum, you could do it while you shop. And trying to explain that to the landlord when I was signing the lease, that it's going to be an immersive shopping experience. They're like, I don't know what you mean. I was like, you will. So there's like red buttons all over that you could press and things happen. So that was one of them. There's one over here, which is really cool.
Okay, you got that? Okay. Here we go. It says, do not press the button.
This way. Oh.
Oh, that is so rad. Not a big selection of movies here at the Horror Bodega. Everything is Horror Bodega and then Tremors.
Yes.
But nonetheless, it's haunted.
Yeah.
And a lot of fun. This is kind of like the Criterion Collection closet thing they do.
Truly impressive, the Horror Bodega. Thank you so much for having us again.
We love you.
We do?
I'm going to go out on a limb here. Spoiler alert, I get my finger bitten off by Art the Clown in Terrifier 3. And here we go. Here's Dennis's finger candy from Terrifier 3.
Wow.
Only available here at the Horror Bodega. So,
Bam!
come, get yours today.
You guys share a franchise together
We
that
do.
you both are in.
Yeah.
Terrifier 3.
Terrifier.
Yep.
I remember when
We're going to share more franchises together.
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Coming soon.
Yes,
Yes.
hopefully Terrifier 4. Someone else at this
And
table will be.
stream.
Oh, yeah, stream. Stream too. We can't fuzz on the
But
lens.
I know we go a little. We're jumping ahead.
We are
I
jumping.
know.
No, it's fun to jump ahead. There is one other movie.
I love when Jason gets
I do have
all
a question,
excited,
yeah.
and this is rare.
It's just because like I grew up with you on my television. You know, it's like Meet the Parents, Kids, Scary Movie,
The Faculty.
The Faculty. But
House
then
of Wax.
House of Wax was when I think I was like in 8th grade maybe when that came out. But Boiler Room.
Oh, yeah.
I fucking love that movie.
Boiler Room.
And that was you were with Giovanni Ribisi. I mean, Ben Affleck's in that movie. Vin Diesel. Everybody's such babies in that movie.
Right. Everybody
And
that
it's
was
such.
big.
I feel like that movie is so underrated.
Yeah.
Nobody talk. I just quoted that movie to a chick that I took on a date. The part where he's like, anybody that doesn't have money, or anybody that says the root of all evil. Everybody that says that money is the root of all evil doesn't have any. Look at the smile on my face. Ear to ear, baby.
So great.
I was like telling this chick about the movie, and she's like, "I've never heard of this movie."
Yeah.
But
we're like,
no,
"Check,
I love that
please."
movie. So I just like that's a New York movie as well.
It is a New York
So-
movie, or like I should say, like tri-state area
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but I will go I'll be in Vegas and people will be like, Boiler Room, that's my favorite movie. Oh my god, are you
so much
Casino
fun.
Jeff? Or whatever. So,
Yes.
yeah. And my friend Ben Younger directed and wrote that movie, and I continue to work with him over time, and like that's just been my dream since day one. Is like as much as I can be part of some sort of repertory or family,
Film family.
that's what's most important to me because that's what I like, and so I feel very grateful that I have that with Ben. Right?
That's awesome.
He put me in Prime, and then I just worked for him on Snowfall last
very nice,
year.
Snowfall.
So yeah, so
We have a question from the audience. Well, I mean, a guy asked
you
me.
sir.
Yes, he wanted to know if you still have that hat because I watched it last night again on House of Wax. If you still have the trucker's hat from House of Wax.
I do.
Ah.
I do. And here's a little film trivia.
Huh.
So I was in a movie called Texas Rangers.
Yes. Another huge film.
I like to call it Young Buns. It had James
Everybody's
Vanderbeek,
in it.
Ashton Kutcher, Usher, Robert Patrick. It was a big budget Dimension Western that John Milius wrote originally.
Oh, wow. John Milius.
And
Conan the Barbarian, folks.
yeah. And we shot some of it in Durango, Mexico. And the logo for Durango, Mexico is a scorpion. I'm a Scorpio.
Oh,
This is why I like
my dad was
I
a
like
Scorpio.
horror and Halloween and creepiness so much. And I had bought a Durango scorpion hat while filming, and I would wear it all the time. And the costume designer was like, I really like that hat. Would you want to wear it in House of Wax? And I was like, yeah. And so she just remade the hat. So that's where the hat came from.
Yes. So Michael Toth,
great question.
Michael Toth, who
Thank
asked that
you.
question.
Yeah,
Thank
Michael.
you.
Good question.
Yeah, and then like we get back to Terrifier 3. Terrifier franchise has exploded. In part, Felissa was in part 2. And
Part
then
3 is just bonkers. Like, how do
Bonkers.
you
Crazy.
feel about being part of the franchise?
I feel so grateful. You know, they're such a lovely group of people, and we were talking about it earlier, but you know, they're such a family.
That is a
and,
film family.
I feel, so grateful to be part of that
Yes.
that legacy and that family now.
Forever
I love those
and
guys.
ever.
Forever and ever.
Forever and ever.
And probably the most terrifying kill of all the movies is mine. No, I'm just kidding.
It is.
But I'm not kidding.
It is.
I'm not kidding.
Terrifying.
Yeah. And
awesome.
I, like I said, I used to go to horror conventions, and I met Damien at
New Jersey Horror
New Jersey
Con.
Horror Con.
With Stephen Delasala and Jason Levy and Michael Levy. I think we
exactly.
were sitting next to each other.
That's
or
right. That's right.
Or maybe Dave Sheridan was between us.
And that was
That guy.
before they had made part 2.
Yes.
And I kind of got the whole story about how part 1 had come to be. And I wanted to do makeup effects. I was super into that stuff. And so I think me and Damien sort of bonded over that. And we sort of bonded over our mutual love for Tom Savini. And so, I would run into him from time to time at cons, and then,
It all came
about
together.
a year and a half ago.
But it's, has nothing to do with amazing, talented, loving person meets amazing, talented, loving person. And because that is how it happens.
That's very nice to
Especially
say.
at conventions.
Yes.
Well, like attracts like in
Mm-hmm.
this world. And when you meet your people, you meet your family, you want to embrace them and keep them forever.
Yeah.
That's not all you do.
Director.
That is not all you do. Even the directing, but you do some DJing.
I do. I've been a DJ for 30 years.
Paid gigs. Not just going, hey, not just I'm going to go to your quinceanera and I'm going
Right,
to DJ.
exactly.
Or your bar mitzvah.
I only do a few of those a year.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
I love it.
I was.
We need a big party.
Ellen DeGeneres' DJ for the 06-07 season.
Oh, wow.
And,
on the show.
Yes, I was, and I did a year.
Wow.
there.
I
Year residency.
Was it so fun?
so
I
fun.
love her.
So fun and funny because like I always tell people like it's the most sort of showbiz job I've ever had because we would tape a show a day, Monday through Thursday, and 2 on Thursdays. But you'd be backstage and it's like, some famous movie star and then like a giraffe and then a showgirl and like, sets are moving. It's just like in a movie,
And was
So
she
that
like,
was, like,
throw it
really
away
fun.
to John?
Right. Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
my
And she
gosh,
would
I
like
have-
come and try to dance with me. And I hated that. I was so embarrassed. But
Really?
Yeah. But she loved embarrassing me. And
that is amazing. So I didn't know. And that's something pretty cool. It's like a lot of stand-up comedians when you have a show and they have a warm-up for the crowd or something.
Totally.
They have
Yeah.
a stand-up.
Totally.
But you were now I'm going to have to go watch these
I know.
things.
yeah, well,
And-
you
too.
can't see them anywhere, which is weird. I've been trying to find them. Like, there's
well,
not
maybe it's the whole,
What, her
one
show?
whole
ounce of
Sarah
footage
controversy
anywhere.
deal. But
I'll try.
we love her.
A forensic, specialist like yourself can probably find it, Jason.
And besides being a DJ, more importantly, you just got married.
I did. Thank you.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And he has
Thank
a
you.
beautiful, amazing wife. And you're a wonderful couple.
Thank
a
you.
Beautiful couple.
My wife just got promoted at her job, so extra celebrations. Yep.
Hell yeah.
Honey,
Love
we're getting
that.
we're getting that pool put
That's
in. The,
huge.
Amazing.
the
Yeah,
pool's
exactly.
coming.
Right.
For
exactly.
real.
Or the hot tub.
Exactly.
She is a big deal.
She is.
She is a big deal.
She walks it like she talks it.
That's
Or
awesome.
talks it like
You've
she
been
walks
together
it.
for a long time.
We have. We were together for 5.5 years before we got married.
That's
I just
beautiful.
got married for the listener at home. I just got married in September. And here we are in
Congrats, buddy.
The listener.
It's always
Listener.
when you're still in
There's
your
two.
when you're still in your 30s and you get married like John. That's a great thing. Don't laugh. So what's next for you? What's coming up? What do you want to do? What does John
wanna do,
Abrahams
John?
want to do with his life and career?
I work. You know,
Yeah.
I like to work. If you want me to participate in something that you're creating, that's like the greatest feeling ever.
Yeah,
You know,
it
got some
is.
stuff
Didn't think
coming up
about
I
that. That's a
wanna-
great.
yeah,
it's-
and you know, like I said, I used to go to these horror conventions when I was a kid, and one time I was in high school and I was at one, and Dick Miller was there, and I loved Dick Miller. My whole life I
I
was like,
produced his last movie.
"That's the really."
Hanukkah.
That's amazing.
Hanukkah.
And I saw him out on the street, and me and my friend went up to him, and we were like, "Hey, you're," and he goes, "Dick Miller, I'm in everything. How you doing, kids?" Right? And I was always like, man, if I was gonna be an actor, like I'd want to be like Dick Miller. Like I'd want to be in everything,
Yeah.
no matter how big or small. And so I kind of just try to do that
Yeah.
as much as possible. And you know, so far so good, knock on wood. Like I've been able to be in
Yeah.
little bits of cool
Everything.
things, you know, like
Listen, you've done well.
I think that's why Robert Rodriguez was like, huh? Because it's not, you know, people aren't usually like, and much to the dismay of my agents over the years, like, you know, I've always been like, no leading man, like just give me the walk-on role of like this, because I always figured it's easy to get. Like it's you know, it's low-hanging fruit, and I get to be on a movie set, and I get to do
Get to
cool
work with
shit.
cool stuff.
I'm a nerd. I like nerdy stuff,
Now
you know.
I
I'm
really
like,
get our connection
yeah.
because I am the same exact way. I want to work with people I love, I enjoy, I respect. I don't care if it's anything. I'm just happy to be there. I told Adam Green, I'll serve you coffee. I'm so thrilled to be on your set. And even I read a script the other day and the director was like, oh, so did you pick Becky or Sally or Louise? And I was like, no, I picked Debbie. And he's like, I offered you the leading roles and you
Right.
picked like the smallest.
Right.
And I was like, she was the most interesting. She spoke to me.
Yeah. That's
It's
how
not
it is.
about the biggest role. It's about the role that is
means something
captivating
to you.
to your heart.
Listen to what they just said, folks. For all you young actors out there, you got to listen to what she just said. It's what if you have a connection with something, it's what it means to you. If it hits you in the heart, you don't have to be the lead.
No,
There's
I like
no
romance.
small parts,
No,
just small,
small
actors.
actors.
Bam, ladies and gentlemen.
We love you, Johnny.
Yeah, I mean, we could do a whole show on Scary Movie.
Yeah,
I know you guys have had Dave Sheridan on here, and hopefully more.
Who?
Do you not? Have you not had
maybe
Dave on?
maybe we'll have you both back on together.
that is.
I'll see if I can get him to come do it.
Yeah.
We don't know that guy.
I'm flattered to be here, really,
We
because
love
I
you.
respect
We love you,
both of
dude.
you
Yeah,
so much.
thank you,
love
buddy.
you.
Thank you,
And,
man.
and
Nothing
you know,
says respect like putting me in your next movie you direct.
hey, you know what? Well, let's do an episode about that.
I know you haven't even talked about directing and stuff. Yeah, we're
I
gonna.
know.
You have to come back.
I feel like we need it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I think you should
why?
bring me
Come
back,
back.
with
Oh,
Lou
oh,
Temple for Lou Temple's part 2, and like do our part 2 show.
he follows. He knows.
Oh my God.
Oh my lord.
Oh, I'm aware. I've got it all.
Good.
I know all
We'll
about-
hold you to that shit.
know
We're
all
gonna be like,
about
hey,
it.
he said he
Yes.
wanted to come back.
Back
really are.
accident.
Yes. Oh, my back accident.
Ending
Thank
up
you,
in
buddy. Thank
Texas
you. Yes.
Chainsaw?
He knows everything. Listen, folks. Killing Time Experience. Felissa Rose, the Big Schwag,
Hi, I'm
Brett
Felissa
Wagner,
Rose. Thank you.
Jason, and the man who just finished an outstanding episode. 2 Lincolns. We call him Johnny Abrahams.
Thank you.
You are just
Thank you, y'all.
incredible. We
Keep
love you.
listening. We love you. Love you guys.